My name's Tessa Swithenby. I won't go too much into my detail. I've been in the training, particularly around IT, technology training for more years than I care to admit these days. I used to say the years with pride, but now I've kind of gone past that period. But my role within QA is to work through change programs and more so adoption programs. And the programs I'm talking about today that we deliver to our customers every day of the week are more around, just to kind of focus what this is about, are more around big technology change programs within organisations. So that means taking every single user within your organisation one version of software to another version of software, and maybe there's a device change in there. So a lot of these services have been developed for those kind of requirements. We do work with systems integrators where we completely integrate into their project plans and deliver these services within a technology implementation. And they can be quite aggressive. They can be 200, 300 users a night over so many months or weeks. So we have to keep up these services. So we hit the server, the change of technology, of device, with the user requirements at the same time. We don't have a gap where the user receives a new device, new software, and something happens to help them learn or understand how to use that better. It's all done at the same time. In addition to that, these programs also run in isolation, in that there doesn't have to be a technology change. Maybe the technology change has happened and we're doing the change and adoption process afterwards because there's poor usage of systems and poor uses of technology. I'm also going to talk about some of how we get adoption. And again, I'm going to talk probably a lot about Windows 10 and Office 365 because that's the big thing that's happening in our marketplace at the moment and seems to be affecting every single business because of the Windows 7 support stopping in 2020. But these adoption processes can be used across any training program, change program, where we need behavioural change. We need to see a change of attitudes, maybe new ways of working. And although I'm going to bring a quote up, as everybody else has done, Microsoft do push us down with their great big marketing machine ways of thinking and get to think about their products in the marketplace and what they're trying to help us with. But driving adoption comes from the understanding of your business challenges. That's how we build these programs I'm going to talk about. Ignore the Office 365, that's their product. It's ensuring people across your organisation understand the benefits and embrace the new technology to enable them to do their jobs better, be more productive, be more collaborative, be more mobile, all the things that Microsoft do say. And people naturally resist change. Again, that's why we have to manage change and embrace change and encourage change. So all those things, behavioural change, using better technology, using it to its best advantage, actually getting return on investment, all this money that companies are now spending on new technology, the latest upgrades. We kind of wrap all this process together. I'm going to very quickly take you through, and this may seem familiar to some of you working in large organisations, when our customers are doing big technology changes. These are the kind of challenges. When I talk to them day to day, I see that they face. They say they're spending this money on technology to improve the way people work, get better productivity, etc., etc. But there is often new ways of working, and it's to understand, are they maximising this way of working? Are we doing enough to make sure there's behavioural change? There is an adoption of new ways of working. Are we getting return on our investment? We've just spent X thousands and thousands of pounds on lots of new devices, upgrades of software. We all know probably when there's something new, there's change, there's a great big drop in productivity. Are we kind to reduce that drop in productivity? Are we doing enough to keep that productivity line, stop it dropping and get it to go back up again? Are we looking at continuous improvement? So we're putting better, more up-to-date technology, better functionality, more mobility, more collaboration. Are we really continuing to innovate people and get them to use this technology? And overcoming normal stuff, resistance to change, and making sure people are working in a new and better way. Again, this is a typical change. This is actually from something that's happened within one of our customers. They came to us and said, we put SharePoint out there, we pushed that to 55,000 users, and there's very, very poor usage. So I said, how did you communicate the change? Have you made it clear how you want them to use it? Is there consistency in the messaging that you're giving to them? How are you helping them to adopt this new way of working? And kind of when we looked at it, although there's pockets of things happening in the business, generally this was happening. There was a lack of understanding with 55,000 people about what the new way of working was. There was no planned communication. There were some comms, but they were not consistent. The messaging wasn't clear. And again, this has been mentioned a couple of times today, and I live with it every day of my life. What's in it for me? I'm the user, I'm sitting at my desk, I've got a very busy job, you're trying to change something, what's in it for me? I'm not interested unless I know it's going to improve my life and my working environment. The learning transfer, because there's confusion in how we want them to work, what they want them to work, there's a lack of planning, confusion in how we train them and get some learning transfers done. The support might not be there because it's not consistent, again, because the learning's not there. And how does it impact me sitting there? Don't really want to use this, not sure what it's about, it looks a bit complicated, I haven't got time to look at it. I'm a typical user. So no behavioural change, no adoption, they look at the system, no great use of SharePoint. That's a fair, and you could pick any topic actually across some large organisations, and these are the challenges that we kind of face every day. So we have been doing these kinds of programs for quite a long time, but what we saw, again, I think over the years, if I talked to a customer maybe 2 or 3 years ago about adoption, I probably wouldn't have got that. If I talked about training and improving performance and so on. But again, I guess it's down to Microsoft and the digital transformation word. Adoption seems to come into that area as well. We did see that we needed to put a kind of tried and tested and accredited adoption process together that we could show and share with our customers and deliver. And we do deliver these programs now. So we delivered a holistic end-to-end framework that embeds new ways of working, gets value for you as an organisation in the technology you're investing in, and gets this change of behaviour, this adoption to new ways of working. Again, then be more productive, be more collaborative, be more mobile, etc. Now, I've put this next slide up because when we start talking, again, the customers come to us with different levels of what they want from adoption. I can still go to some customers and talk about adoption, and it kind of doesn't resonate. So I can talk to IT directors, program directors, and it doesn't really resonate. They're still thinking about the technology and the implementation of the technology. They're not quite user-centric. And I can go to other customers where adoption is right up there, and it's what's discussed. And in the years that I've been doing presentations and bids with different customers, when I work with particular systems integrators during a presentation to customers about a whole technology change, there's a change device, change of infrastructure, bills, testing, all the things that happen around a big technology infrastructure. I used to get 5 minutes at the end of the day where I just kind of quickly talk about some training courses while they were kind of packing their bags to go. And it's completely changed around now. In these big requirements with these technology changes, I usually get an hour and a half at the beginning because it has to be about the user. It has to be a great user experience. They have to be productive. They have to be given the tools that are necessary. They have to be supported through change, encouraged through change. So my pitch is completely changed on it, and I've seen that over the last kind of 10 to 15 years. So coming back to what is adoption, again, this is a conversation I have with a lot of our customers because adoption can mean different things to different people. I talked to one of the program directors we're doing, and he said, and I was asking him how important is adoption for you, and he said, well, as long as the support calls aren't too bad, and as long as everybody seems okay with their laptops, yeah, adoption, that's fine for me. And I said, well, that's fine. I'm glad your support calls aren't good. I'm glad we're managing them through change, but that necessarily isn't adoption. That person might be sitting and just going back to the old way of working. So how important is it that you do have an adoption process to make sure that everybody does move with the change and does adopt a new way of working? So we came up with this definition. Adoption is the process by which an employee can confidently apply skills and behaviours acquired in the work environment, result in increased satisfaction and performance improvements. We can challenge that and talk about that, but that's kind of it took us days to get that together. But that's something that we share with our customers to get them to understand what we mean by adoption. Now, before I come on to the adoption process, just to explain some of the things we do, again, it's very encouraging to, I don't get to talk to our guys very often because we're always on site delivering, but it is people-centric, it is user-centric. And we find that although that bit is massively important, we find it's difficult to get change without engagement with the business, communicating across the business, and then we go into education. This isn't the best of slides because actually all these run at the same time, including adoption, which I'll come on to. So what we mean by business engagement is what it says on the tin, we engage with the business. So when we go into one of our customers, we set up a business engagement network, because to understand the business goals, to understand what each department needs to achieve with their technology or whatever change program they're going from, by getting a network of change people or a network of business champions, user representatives, digital mentors, they get given all sorts of names, we've got someone we can go to in the business to say, how many users do you have? What's important to you? We're putting Skype in, we're putting OneDrive in, we're putting Yammer in. Will you use these points? How important is SharePoint? So we go right into the heart of the business. Behind this is a big process with some communications. We kind of don't just scatter ourselves around and ask random questions. We get senior stakeholders on board, so we understand what they're wanting. We get them to nominate the business champions from within there of the business. We very much define the business champion role so they know what's expected of them, they know how much they've got to do. They've obviously got a day job as well. And we kind of really build that relationship. So we've got this great network of people who we can talk to, who are across the business, who know what their own department and area needs to do. Also help them, you know, do I need to use Skype? Well, let's have a look at it. Does your area need to use Skype? So there's always that business engagement model. They're our go-to people, and we often get them to do the communications, because or we get them to get senior management to do communications about comms. I will always read an email from my boss telling me to do something, but I might not read a general company email because there's a lot of them. If my boss emails me to do something, I generally do it. So we kind of got ways in which we help people change. We have to have the support of their senior management. It's key. The communications, these work very much hand in hand. But if we're doing change across the business, it's absolutely imperative. You've all got internal comms departments, I'm sure. We work very closely with them. They sometimes develop the collateral. We sometimes help them with messaging. But the communication is key. And again, this is we have a comms manager on site. We develop a comms plan with your internal comms people. We might do launch comms, so there'll be infomercials, posters, lunch sessions, road shows, workshops. It's getting people into that. There's something new coming. There's benefits. I'm engaged with it. I can see what it's going to do. So the key messages there. How we deliver it, the branding, the delivery media. Again, we work with your internal comms people. But again, that is where we start to embrace people. We make them feel part of the change rather than IT is doing something to you. And again, all the time, the benefits, what's in it for me. Key part of that is if we're doing change with people, we let them know the when, how, where, why, what. There's lots of W's there. But again, if I'm a user sitting there, if I know when that's going to be changed, why it's being changed, what's in it for me, what do I have to do, I'm more accepting to the change than someone just tripping up with kind of no information. I don't know what's happening. So that's key. And the comms actually goes quite detailed, right to individuals, inviting them onto an orientation session to teach them about their new laptop. It'll be a very relevant orientation session because the engagement with their senior manager, we know what's important to that area of the business and what we deliver. The education will be online, offline, orientation sessions, WebEx sessions. It's again what we design for the business that will work well and it's easily delivered. But to come on to the adoption, because without those, we can't get the end piece. So this is our adoption model. So the first and biggest thing, as you can see about this, it's outcome driven. So what I mean by that is if I go to a customer and say, so you're doing this change, you're changing technology, what are you wanting to, what's the outcome of this? I'll take a fairly simple example, but I have to say we've been doing a lot of this lately. One particular customer said to me, well, yes, we're putting Skype in. What's the outcome? Why are you putting Skype in and what do you want to use it for? What's the outcome of this? He said, well, in our head office, in these offices here, we've got lots of offices around this area. And if people want a meeting, we've got no meeting rooms. They have to wait for meeting rooms, so meetings get held off. They have to get on our local bus, go down to the other building, get off that bus, do all that. They all sit together in meeting rooms, etc. A lot of time wasted, a lot of delays. So I want, and we sat there and worked it out, a certain percentage of people in my organisation to stop booking these meeting rooms and travelling. I want them to use Skype. And in particular departments, we had to have, you know, contracts being in collaboration on Skype so they could work at the same time. So that was the outcome. Once we know the outcome, we know what we're working towards. We also, for adoption, we have to be able to measure it. How do we measure it? And in this case, this company actually used Power BI. So we could see, as the process was happening, we could see the usage of Skype from the system information go shooting up. So we knew we were getting people onto the system. And then we did some further surveys, floor walking, however we did it, to understand from individuals, are you using Skype, are you doing it? And I'll show you a slide very quickly later on. The other areas, because I'm running out of time a bit, is again, outcome, accountability. We have to have the stakeholders on board. So we would go to that business champion and say, right, okay, we hear your people struggle a lot with meeting rooms, they waste a lot of time. This is what we want to do. Are you in agreement with this? Yep, that's spot on. That will save. I won't have to see them all disappearing out the office. I don't know where they go. This is what I want to do. So we have some accountability that they will listen to us and be part of this model. Collaboration, integrating, onboarding the business. And again, we've called it there digital champion network. It's that individual that we go to and helps us with this process about their business. Measurement I've talked about. And reinforcement is the continual learning. When we measure it and we say adoption isn't taking place or not taking place as much as we need it to be, we will then reinforce it with another learning session or a quick reference guide or a WebEx session or whatever it needs to be to again revisit that. So we will get adoption. And although we do some of this stuff through an actual live implementation of new technology, we do it in isolation on other topics as well. It's all about change and the macro model. But what we do encourage customers to do is continue the adoption process or keep continuing. And that's if we're running a contracted service, we will have that as part of the BAU, that there's an adoption process in place. So these measurements keep taking, and our trainers and our business champion network all keeps going. And it's quite hard work to get that business champion network going. And it needs to be a two-way thing. You need to keep it engaging and active. So to let it all slip away at the end of the project is a shame, because they can be used for so many different changes throughout the business. I'm going to very quickly, David. This is very quick, some reporting, and you see this from Power BI. You can't really see it very well on the screen, but some really good increases. OneNote's got shot up there, email activity, there's SharePoint and so on. But just looking at these numbers here. Now this wasn't, for this customer there were 6,000 users going through Windows 10 and Office 365 change. A couple of topics were real adoption goals for us. We had some real measurements in place. 42% choosing a Sky meeting instead of travelling, 38% going paperless in meetings with OneNote. That was again a big adoption goal they wanted. 54% using collaborative feedback of Office 365 instead of email. So we can see through Power BI or whatever tool we're using and some of the survey work we do, we can get that increase. But this slide to me, and I'm really sorry, you probably can't see the text on it. This is kind of more the softer survey that we do with the business. Have you sent a Skype message instead of sending an email? The blue bit is yes, I have. The orange bit is no, I haven't. So for an organisation that hadn't used Skype at all, we've got some adoption, and it was growing. And this is a kind of early measurement. This one, have you communicated with a colleague in Office using 365 instead of requesting a meeting? You can see the adoption here, the yes, it's not as good. And we know we have to go back into that department. We either talk to the business champion, talk about how we can get this up. They may say, it's okay, that's enough because of the way we work or what we do or how we act. But that slide kind of indicates to you how we can prove with a customer and working with a customer that we are getting people to adopt to new ways of behaving and new ways of working.